"Please marry my dad," said the poor hungry boy to the millionaire widow. Jennifer Miller stopped abruptly when she felt a small hand touch her arm. It was Thursday morning, and she had just left the flower shop where she bought the white roses she took to Michael's grave every week. The boy in front of her couldn't have been more than 10 years old, with messy hair and clothes that had seen better days. "Ma'am, can you help me?" the boy asked, his voice a mix of shyness and desperation. Jennifer looked down at him, still holding the fragrant bouquet. In the last 6 months, since losing Michael in an accident, she could barely look at children without feeling a pang in her chest. They had dreamed so much of having children. "What do you need, sweetheart?" she replied, forcing a gentle smile. The boy hesitated for a moment, as if gathering courage. His small hands trembled slightly as he fidgeted with the hem of his faded t-shirt. "Please marry my dad," he blurted out, as if afraid he'd lose his nerve if he spoke slowly. Jennifer felt as if the world had stopped around her. She let out a surprised gasp and brought her free hand to her face, still processing what she'd just heard. Passers-by walked by on the sidewalk, oblivious to the surreal conversation happening between them. "What was that?" she managed to murmur, her eyes wide. "My dad's been really sad since my mum left," the boy continued, tears now forming in his eyes. "He doesn't eat right, doesn't sleep right. And I'm really hungry, ma'am. I thought if he married someone who has money, things would get better." Jennifer's heart clenched. The boy's raw honesty was both touching and devastating. She looked around, realizing they were in the center of Aspen, the town she'd moved to after Michael's passing, seeking a fresh start away from the painful memories of New York. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Ethan, ma'am. Ethan Parker. My dad's name is David." "And where do you live, Ethan?" The boy pointed vaguely beyond the well-kept houses of the town center. "Down at the end of Magnolia Street in a little house. My dad works at Frank's garage fixing cars, but he's been making very little lately." Jennifer knelt to meet the boy's eye level, still holding the flowers. Ethan's expression carried worries far too heavy for his age. "Ethan, I understand you're worried about your dad, but marriage doesn't work like that. People marry when they're in love." "But you seem like a good person," he insisted, with a determination that surprised Jennifer. "And you're pretty too. I'm sure my dad would like you." Jennifer didn't know whether to laugh or cry at the boy's simple, desperate logic. There was something in the purity of his request that stirred her in a way she couldn't explain. "Where is your dad now, Ethan?" "At the garage. He works Monday to Saturday, from 7 in the morning to 6 at night, sometimes even later when there's a lot of work." Jennifer checked her watch. It was 10 in the morning. Part of her wanted to simply give the boy some money and move on, but there was something in those hopeful eyes that stopped her from walking away. "Have you eaten today, Ethan?" The boy shook his head, trying to hide his shame. "Dad said he'd bring something from the bakery at lunchtime. What about breakfast?" Another silent no. Jennifer's stomach twisted. In her 42 years of life as the heir to a thriving cosmetics company, she had never faced the reality of child hunger so directly. "Come with me," she said, standing up and reaching out her hand to Ethan. "Let's get breakfast first, and then you can tell me more about your dad." The boy's eyes lit up in a way that made Jennifer Miller's heart ache even more. They walked together to the nearest bakery, a cozy little place with wooden tables and the comforting smell of fresh bread. Jennifer ordered a coffee with milk and toast for herself and watched Ethan devour 2 sugar buns, a cup of hot chocolate, and then ask for a third. "How long have you been struggling?" she asked, trying to keep her tone gentle. Ethan stopped chewing for a moment as if calculating. "Since Mom left, about 4 months ago. She said she was tired of being poor and went to live with her uncle in New York." "And your dad? How did he take it?" "He was really sad. Cried a lot at first. Now he barely talks to me. Just works and sleeps. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and he's just sitting in the kitchen staring at nothing." Jennifer felt a familiar pang of pain. She knew that emptiness all too well, those moments when life seemed to lose all meaning. "Why did you think of asking me to marry your dad, Ethan? You don't even know me." The boy swallowed the last bite of bread before answering, "I always see you walking by with flowers. You look sad too, just like my dad. I thought maybe you could help each other." The simplicity of his observation left Jennifer speechless. How could a child see so clearly what she tried so hard to hide from everyone? "And do you think your dad would be happy if he knew you were out here asking strangers to marry him?" Ethan blushed and looked down. "He can't know. He'd be mad at me. But I had to do something, Ma'am. I can't stand seeing him like this anymore." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. Jennifer paid the bill and they left the bakery together. The May sun gently warmed the streets of Aspen, but she felt a strange chill in her chest. There was something about this boy's determination that unsettled her and yet also moved her. "Ethan, I'll do something for you. I'll meet your dad, but not as a potential wife. I'll go as someone who wants to help you both through this tough time." The boy's eyes brightened again. "Really? You'll meet my dad?" "Yes. But you have to promise me one thing. You can't tell him you asked me to marry him. That stays between us, okay?" Ethan nodded vigorously. "I promise, ma'am. But what's your name?" "Jennifer. Jennifer Miller." "Mrs. Miller, you're really pretty and really nice. I'm sure my dad will like you." Jennifer smiled sadly. If Ethan knew how empty and lost she'd felt since Michael left, maybe he wouldn't be so sure. They walked to Frank's garage, a modest workshop behind an old house. The smell of oil and grease mixed with the sound of tools and radio music. Jennifer took a deep breath before stepping inside, feeling strangely nervous. David Parker was bent over the engine of a blue Civic, his work shirt sleeves rolled up and smudges of grease on his arms. When he lifted his head to see who had arrived, Jennifer was surprised by what she saw. The man looked to be about 35, with slightly messy dark hair and brown eyes that held a deep sadness. There was a melancholy in his face that reminded her of her own feelings. Not exactly what she'd imagined when she thought of Ethan's father. "Ethan? What are you doing here?" said David, wiping his hands on an old rag. "Dad, this is Mrs. Jennifer. She needed help with her car." Jennifer looked at Ethan in surprise. The boy had come up with an excuse on the spot, and now she had to improvise. "Good afternoon," she said, extending her hand to David. "Actually, I was walking downtown when I ran into your son. He told me you work here, and I thought I'd come see the garage." David glanced suspiciously from Jennifer to Ethan and back to Jennifer. There was something about the situation that didn't quite add up for him. "My son has a habit of talking to strangers. I hope he didn't bother you." "Not at all. Ethan is a very polite and smart boy." David nodded briefly but kept a skeptical expression. Jennifer could tell he was naturally wary, which was understandable given the circumstances he was going through. "Is Mr. Frank here?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "He went out for lunch. Won't be back until 2. Is there a problem with your car?" Jennifer realized she'd gotten herself into a lie she didn't know how to escape. Her Lexus was perfectly fine. "Actually, I wanted your opinion on some strange noises it's been making lately." "What kind of noises?" The conversation was getting more complicated by the minute. Jennifer knew absolutely nothing about cars, and David seemed like the kind of person who'd spot a lie easily. "You know what? I'd better bring the car by another day for you to take a look. I don't want to interrupt your work now." David nodded and turned back to the Civic's engine. Jennifer could tell he was clearly uncomfortable with her presence and decided it was best to leave. "Ethan, let's let your dad work in peace." Once outside the garage, Ethan looked visibly disappointed. "He didn't like you," he muttered, kicking a small pebble on the ground. "Ethan, your father is going through a tough time. It's normal for him not to want to talk to strangers right now." "But you said you were going to help us." "And I will, but these things take time, sweetheart. It can't happen overnight." Jennifer walked Ethan to Magnolia Street. The contrast between that area and downtown was striking. The houses were small and simple, some in need of repairs. Ethan stopped in front of a little yellow house with peeling paint and a small porch with 2 plastic chairs. "This is my house," he said, a mix of pride and shame in his voice. Jennifer looked around. Despite the simplicity and obvious hardships, there was an effort to keep everything clean and tidy. Small pots of plants on the porch showed that someone still cared about making this a home. "It's a very cozy house, Ethan." "Mom planted those flowers," he said, pointing to the pots. "Dad still waters them every day." That small detail touched Jennifer in an unexpected way. There was something deeply human about the image of David tending to the plants left behind by the wife who had abandoned him. "Ethan, I need to go now, but I'll come back to talk to you both. Can you give me your phone number?" "We don't have a phone, Mrs. Jennifer, but you can come by anytime. My dad gets home from work at 6:30. Jennifer mentally noted the address and time. She'd committed to helping this family, even if she wasn't quite sure how yet. "Before I go, Ethan, can you promise me one more thing?" "Of course, Mrs. Jennifer. Don't tell anyone about our meeting today. Not your dad, not the neighbors. Let me tell him myself when the time is right, okay?" Ethan agreed, but Jennifer noticed a shadow of worry cross his eyes. "You're not going to give up on helping us, right?" "No, Ethan, I won't give up." Jennifer Miller returned home with her mind swirling with thoughts. Her residence in Aspen was a spacious, elegant house she had bought shortly after Michael left, an attempt to start anew far from the painful memories of New York. She sat on the porch with a cup of tea, trying to process everything that had happened that day. Ethan's desperate plea, the encounter with David, the raw reality of poverty she had witnessed. It all stirred something in her that she hadn't felt in months. Michael always said she had too generous a heart for her own good. Maybe he was right. Maybe that was why she had been so moved by that family's situation. That night, Jennifer barely slept. She thought of Ethan going hungry, of David working himself to the bone to support his son alone, of the mother who had abandoned everything in search of a better life. It was a reality she had never faced up close. The next morning, she decided she needed to learn more about David Parker before getting further involved in that family's life. She went to the bakery where she'd had coffee with Ethan and sought out Mrs. Johnson, the owner, a kind woman who knew everyone in town. "Mrs. Johnson, do you know a man named David Parker? He works at Frank's garage." "Of course I do, dear. David is such a hard-working young man. Such a shame what happened to him." "What happened?" "His wife, Amanda, ran off with another man a few months ago. Left David and their little boy behind. Poor David was devastated. Since then, he barely leaves the house, just works and takes care of the boy." "And how are they managing financially?" Mrs. Johnson sighed heavily. "Well, dear, it's no secret things are tough. Mr. Frank even cut David's pay because business at the garage has slowed so much. Some days they don't have enough to eat. I've offered food more than once, but David's too proud. Won't accept help from anyone." That confirmed everything Ethan had told her. Jennifer felt her heart tighten again. "Mrs. Johnson, I'd like to help that family, but without them realizing it's charity. Do you have any ideas?" "Why do you want to help David, if you don't mind me asking?" Jennifer hesitated. How could she explain that a child's innocent request had moved her so deeply? "I met his son yesterday. He's a very special boy. And I've had losses of my own recently. I know how hard it is to rebuild when everything falls apart." Mrs. Johnson nodded understandingly. "Well, David's a very good mechanic. If you really want to help, you could pretend you need some repairs on your car. That way he'd earn the money. It wouldn't be charity." The idea made sense to Jennifer. She went home and spent the rest of the day researching cars online, trying to learn enough basics to avoid embarrassment when she returned to the garage. The following afternoon, she drove her Lexus to Frank's garage. This time she met the owner himself, a man in his 60s with a protruding belly and a warm smile. "Good afternoon. How can I help you?" "Good afternoon. I came to speak with David. I'm having some trouble with my car." "David," Frank called, "got a customer here for you." David emerged from the workshop, wiping his hands on the same old rag as the day before. When he saw Jennifer, his expression hardened slightly. "You came back?" "I did. I was thinking about our conversation yesterday and decided to bring my car in for a look." David nodded without much enthusiasm. "Where's the car?" It's right outside. The problem is, it's making some strange noises when I start it. David walked up to the Lexus, and Jennifer had to suppress a nervous laugh when she saw his surprised expression upon noticing the model and year of the vehicle. "This is your car?" he asked, unable to hide his astonishment. "Yes, it is. Why?" "Well, it's a really nice car. They don't usually give trouble." Jennifer realized she'd made a mistake. A recent Lexus obviously wouldn't have the problems she'd invented. She needed to improvise quickly. "Actually, I bought it recently, used. Maybe the previous owner didn't take good care of it." David still looked skeptical, but started the engine and listened carefully for a few minutes. To Jennifer's dismay, the car ran perfectly. "I don't hear any strange noises," he said, turning off the engine. "Really? That's odd. It was making a terrible sound yesterday." "Sometimes that happens. Could have been a loose part that fixed itself, but I'd better give it a thorough check, just to be safe." David spent the next hour meticulously inspecting the engine, suspension, brakes, and every other component of the car. Jennifer sat in the small waiting area of the garage, watching him work. There was something hypnotic about the way he moved around the vehicle with precision and expertise. His hands, though calloused and stained with grease, were surprisingly gentle when handling the parts. Jennifer found herself admiring the dedication he put into his work. "All done," he said, finally standing up. "Your car is in perfect condition. All fluids are at the right levels, brakes working fine, engine running smoothly. I just replaced the air filter because it was a bit dirty, but that's routine." "How much do I owe you?" $50 for the filter and labor." Jennifer tried not to show her surprise at the low price. In New York, she'd pay at least $200 for a much simpler service. "Are you sure that's all? Don't you want to check anything else?" David looked at her with a mix of confusion and suspicion. "Do you think there's another problem?" "I don't know. You're the expert." "Look, your car is really in great shape. I won't charge for unnecessary work just to make extra money." The honesty in David's voice touched Jennifer. In a world where so many would take advantage, here was a man who, despite financial struggles, refused to deceive his customers. "All right then, $50. Jennifer handed him a $100 bill. "I don't have change," he said, visibly embarrassed. "Keep it. Consider the difference a thank you for a job well done." David hesitated for a moment, clearly torn between pride and need. "I can't accept this, it's too much." "David, may I call you David?" He nodded. "David, I'm in a comfortable financial position. $50 more or less doesn't matter to me. But for you, it might mean dinner for your son tonight. Please take it." David looked at the bill in his hands, and Jennifer could see the internal struggle. "All right," he finally said. "Thank you very much." "You're welcome. And David, may I come back another time? I like to make sure my car's always in perfect condition." "Of course. Whenever you need." As Jennifer was getting ready to leave, Ethan came running into the garage. She saw the panic in the boy's eyes when he spotted her there. "Dad, what's Mrs. Miller doing here?" David looked from Ethan to Jennifer with growing suspicion. "You two know each other?" Jennifer and Ethan exchanged a quick glance. This was the moment she'd dreaded. "We talked briefly yesterday when I was walking downtown," she said, trying to keep her tone casual. "Ethan's a very polite boy." "Ethan, what were you doing downtown yesterday?" asked David, his voice tinged with reprimand. I went to the bakery to buy bread," Ethan replied, clearly nervous. "With what money?" Ethan fell silent, realizing he'd tangled himself in his own lie. "David, don't scold him," Jennifer intervened. "I was the one who offered him bread when I saw he was hungry. Any mother would do the same." The mention of motherhood came naturally, but Jennifer immediately regretted it when she saw David's expression harden. "Do you have children?" "No," she admitted, feeling the weight of the question. "Then you don't know what any mother would do." David's tone had turned cold and distant. Jennifer realized she'd touched a nerve and that the situation was growing complicated. "You're right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound presumptuous." David gave a brief nod, but his expression remained closed off. "Ethan, let's go home. And I don't want you asking strangers for food, understand? But Dad, no buts. Let's go. Father and son left the garage, leaving Jennifer alone with a strange ache in her chest. She'd tried to help, but seemed to have only made things worse. On her way home, she couldn't stop thinking about the hurt look on Ethan's face when David scolded him. The boy had tried to stick to their agreed-upon story, but ended up stumbling and making his father suspicious. That night, Jennifer made a decision. She would keep trying to help that family, but she needed to be more careful. She couldn't let her desire to help disrupt their lives even further. The next morning, she headed back to Magnolia Street. She knew David was at work, so it would be a good chance to talk to Ethan alone. She found the boy sitting on the porch playing with some old plastic toy cars. When he saw her, Ethan quickly stood up. "Mrs. Miller, you came." "I did, sweetheart. I wanted to talk to you about yesterday." Ethan lowered his eyes, clearly embarrassed. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Miller, I messed up and I think Dad got suspicious." "It wasn't your fault, Ethan. These situations are hard. Dad was mad at me yesterday. He said I can't take food from strangers and that I have to stop making up lies. He's right. Your dad's just looking out for you." Ethan looked at her with teary eyes. "So you're not going to try marrying my dad anymore?" Jennifer sighed. How could she explain to a child that marriage didn't work that way? "Ethan, I'm not going to marry your dad, but that doesn't mean I'll stop trying to help you both." "What do you mean?" "There are other ways to help a family. It's not just through marriage." "Like what?" Jennifer thought for a moment. She didn't have a clear answer yet, but she knew there were ways to make a difference in their lives. "First, I need to earn your dad's trust. He's suspicious of me now and I can't blame him. If I were him, I'd be wary of a stranger showing up out of nowhere wanting to help. But you're a good person, Mrs. Miller. I know you are." "Thank you, Ethan. But your dad doesn't know me like you do. He needs time to trust me." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Jennifer spent the next hour talking with Ethan, trying to better understand their family dynamics and the challenges they faced. The boy told her that David stayed up nights worrying about bills he couldn't pay, that sometimes they went whole days eating nothing but bread and coffee, that his father had sold nearly all the furniture in the house just to cover basic expenses. "Ethan, has your father tried looking for other jobs?" "He sent his resume to several garages, but no one called. He said it's hard to find work in town." "Does he have any special skills? Anything he knows how to do besides fixing cars?" "He knows how to do a lot of things. Before working at the garage, he was a plumber. He also knows how to make wooden furniture. He built my bed and the closet in my room." That piece of information sparked an idea in Jennifer's mind. Maybe there was a way to create job opportunities for David without it seeming like charity. "Ethan, do you think your father would agree to do some carpentry work for me?" "I think so, but we don't have the tools for that. Dad sold everything when Mom left." Once again, Jennifer was faced with the complexities of poverty. It wasn't enough to have the skill. You also needed the tools and resources to put it to use. "Leave it to me. I'll figure something out." Jennifer left Magnolia Street with a plan forming in her mind. She headed to the city center and looked for a hardware store. "Good afternoon," she said to the clerk. "Do you provide quotes for carpentry tools?" "Of course. What do you need?" "A complete set for a professional carpenter. Drill, circular saw, sander, workbench, wrench set, squares, everything necessary." The clerk made a detailed list and presented the quote. The amount was high, but that wasn't a problem for Jennifer. The challenge would be finding a way for David to accept the tools without it feeling like charity. She spent the rest of the afternoon thinking of strategies. Finally, she had an idea that might work. The next morning, she returned to Frank's garage. This time, she didn't go to speak with David, but with the owner himself. "Mr. Frank, may I speak with you privately?" "Of course, dear. Let's go to the back room." They went to a small office at the rear of the garage. "Mr. Frank, I'd like to make a proposal. I'm renovating my house and need custom furniture. I heard David knows carpentry." "Oh yes, David is very good at that. Before he started working here, he made furniture for a lot of people in town. But he stopped when things got tight because he couldn't afford the tools and materials. Well, that's exactly where my proposal comes in. I'd buy all the necessary tools and materials, and David would make the furniture for me. The tools would stay here at the garage as an investment in expanding the business. What do you think? Mr. Frank thought for a moment. That's an interesting idea. I've even thought about expanding into carpentry, but I never had the capital to invest, and David really could use the extra income. So here's how we can do it. I'll finance the tools and materials for the first job. If it works out, you can keep offering carpentry services here at the garage. And what does David get out of it? He'd be in charge of the carpentry side. You'd split the profits from future jobs. Mr. Frank smiled, clearly interested in the proposal. I'll talk to David, but I think he'll agree. He's a hard worker and really needs the money. Perfect. But Mr. Frank, there's one condition. I don't want him to know the idea came from me. Make it seem like it was your initiative, okay? Mr. Frank looked at her curiously. Why do you want to stay anonymous? It's complicated. Let's just say I prefer to help without drawing attention. Understood. Leave it to me. Jennifer left the garage feeling hopeful for the first time in days. She had finally found a way to help David without it looking like obvious charity. The next day, she returned to the hardware store and bought every tool on the list. The total amount came to almost $10,000, but she paid without hesitation. She also bought quality wood and other materials that would be needed for the first projects. Mr. Frank arranged for everything to be delivered to the garage and spoke with David about the proposal. Jennifer stayed hidden across the street, watching his reaction when he saw the tools arriving. David examined each piece with the care of someone who truly knew what they were doing. His hands touched the tools with an almost religious reverence. Jennifer could see the emotion in his eyes when he tested the new drill. "David, what do you think?" asked Mr. Frank. "These are excellent tools, professional grade even. But are you sure you can afford all this? Don't worry about that now. Let's do a few jobs and see how it goes. If it works out, we'll settle up." David nodded, still a little skeptical, but clearly excited about the possibility of working with woodworking again. Jennifer went back home and spent the rest of the day making a list of furniture she really needed for the house. She didn't want to order anything unnecessary, but she also wanted to give David enough work to earn a decent amount. The following week, she returned to the garage with the list ready. "Mr. Frank, I came to see the furniture we talked about." "Oh yes. David, come here. Mrs. Miller wants to order some furniture." David appeared with an expression very different from the last time she'd seen him. There was a spark in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Miller. Mr. Frank told me you need some custom furniture." "That's right, I'm renovating the house and need a few specific pieces." Jennifer showed him the list: a bookshelf for the living room, a wardrobe for the guest room, a dining table for 6, a TV stand, and 2 side tables. David examined the list carefully. "These are beautiful pieces. It'll make for a very elegant set. What kind of wood do you prefer?" Jennifer realized she knew absolutely nothing about types of wood. "I trust your good taste. You choose what you think is best." David smiled, and for the first time, Jennifer saw a genuine brightness in his eyes. "I'll make a complete design for you, with drawings and exact measurements. When will it be ready? Could it be next week?" "Perfect." David spent the next week working on the designs with a dedication that even impressed Mr. Frank. He arrived early and stayed late, making calculations and detailed sketches. When Jennifer returned to see the designs, she was surprised by the quality and care put into the work. The drawings were precise and elegant, showing furniture that would fit perfectly in her home. "David, this is incredible. You really have a lot of talent. Thank you. It's been a while since I've designed furniture. I missed it." "And how long do you need to make all of this?" "If I focus just on this, about 3 weeks. But since I have to split my time with the cars, maybe a month." "And what's the total cost?" David did the math, considering materials and labor. $3,500. Jennifer had to control herself not to show surprise. In New York, she'd pay at least double for furniture of similar quality. "It's a deal. When can you start?" "I can start today if you'd like." "Great. And David, one more thing. I need everything ready in 2 weeks. Is that possible?" David hesitated. That's a tight deadline. I'd have to work almost exclusively on this. Then let's do this. I'll pay extra for the urgency. $5,000 total. David's eyes widened. $5,000? Is that fair? Or do you think it should be more? No. 5,000 is great. It's just, that's a lot of money for me. Then it's settled, and I insist on paying half up front. Jennifer handed $2,500 in cash to David. She had withdrawn the money on purpose, knowing he urgently needed the funds. David looked at the money in his hands as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Mrs. Miller, thank you so much. You have no idea what this means to me and my son. I think I can imagine. And David, I'm sure the work will turn out perfect. That afternoon, as Jennifer was driving home, she passed by Magnolia Street and saw Ethan playing on the porch. The boy waved at her with a radiant smile. Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Miller. She stopped the car and rolled down the window. Hi, Ethan. How are you? My dad came home really happy today. He said he got a great job making furniture, and he brought delicious food for dinner. The boy's enthusiasm was contagious. Jennifer felt her heart warm at the genuine joy in his eyes. That's wonderful, Ethan. It must be because your dad is such a talented carpenter. He is. He said he'll be working a lot the next few weeks, but after that, life will get better. I'm sure it will. Mrs. Miller, thank you for not giving up on us. Those simple words moved Jennifer more than any formal thanks ever could. I wasn't going to give up, Ethan. Over the next 2 weeks, Jennifer stopped by Frank's garage a few times to check on the progress of the furniture. It was fascinating to watch David work. He completely transformed when handling wood, becoming more talkative and confident. How's it coming along? She asked, eyeing a bookshelf starting to take shape. It's turning out better than I expected. This wood is top quality. You seem happier lately. David paused and looked at her. It's true. It's been a long time since I felt truly useful. Fixing cars is honest work, but making furniture, it touches the soul. Why did you stop making furniture? David was silent for a moment. When my wife left, I sold all my tools to pay off the debts she left behind. I thought I'd never work with wood again. And now that you can, how do you feel? Like I've gotten back a part of me that was missing. There was a depth to his answer that struck Jennifer. She understood the feeling of losing a part of yourself and then reclaiming it. David, can I ask you something personal? He hesitated but nodded. Do you still feel angry at your ex-wife? David set down the sandpaper and sighed. At first, I was furious. Angry that she gave up on our family. Angry that she abandoned Ethan. But now I understand she did what she thought was best for her. I can't force her to be happy with me. And Ethan, how is he handling all this? That's the hardest part. He pretends he's fine, but I know he misses his mum. Sometimes I hear him crying in his room at night. Jennifer's heart ached. She remembered Ethan's desperation when he asked her to marry David. The boy was clearly trying to find a way to rebuild his family. Have you thought about getting Ethan some professional help? A psychologist? I've thought about it, but I can't afford it. There are free services in town. I can help you find one. David looked at her with surprise. Why do you care so much about us? It was a question Jennifer had expected for weeks, but she still didn't have a full answer. Because you remind me there are still good people in the world, and because I know what it's like to lose someone important. You lost someone? I lost my husband 6 months ago. Car accident. David stopped what he was doing entirely. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. There's no way you could know. I came to Aspen to try to start over, away from the memories. And is it working? I'm trying. Meeting you all has helped me see that I can still make a difference in other people's lives. David fell silent for a long moment, processing that information. Now I understand why you're so kind to us. You're also trying to heal. David's insight surprised Jennifer. There was a sensitivity in that man she hadn't expected to find. That's true. I think we're helping each other. Mrs. Miller, can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you choose to help us? There are so many families struggling in the city. Jennifer thought of Ethan's desperate plea, how the boy had touched something deep inside her. Sometimes life puts certain people in our path for a reason. I believe meeting you wasn't a coincidence. David nodded, as if he understood exactly what she meant. 2 weeks later, the furniture was ready. Jennifer was genuinely impressed by the quality of the work. Every piece was perfect, crafted with care and attention to detail that revealed David's love for his craft. David, this is simply perfect. You've exceeded all my expectations. Thank you. It was a pleasure working for you. Jennifer handed over the remaining $2,500 and saw the emotion in David's eyes as he took the money. David, I'd like to make another proposal. What kind of proposal? I have some friends in New York who are always looking for custom furniture. If you'd like, I can show them photos of your work. David hesitated. I'd be very grateful, but I'm not sure I could handle clients from New York. Delivery would be complicated. Leave that to me. If orders come in, I'll help with logistics. You'd do that? Of course. Talent like yours shouldn't stay hidden in a small town. That afternoon, Jennifer returned home as David and Mr. Frank installed the furniture. It was comforting to see her house come alive again with unique, lovingly made pieces. Mrs. Miller, David said, finishing the adjustments on the bookshelf, I want to thank you for everything you've done for us. I'm the one who should thank you, David. You've given me beautiful furniture and helped me see that I can still make a difference. You've changed our lives. Ethan is happier. I've paid off the overdue bills, and there's even money left for good food. It's been months since we've had so much abundance at home. Hearing that moved Jennifer deeply. It was rewarding to know her efforts had brought real change to that family's life. David, there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. Go ahead. About Ethan. I've noticed he's very mature for his age. That worries me a little. David sighed. He had to grow up too fast. After his mother left, he became my confidant, my companion in sadness. It's not fair for a child to carry that weight. That's why I suggested professional help, not just for Ethan, but for both of you. Losing a family member is traumatic, even when that person chooses to leave. You're right, but I'm still afraid they'll think I'm a bad father. David, a bad father wouldn't care about his son's emotional well-being. The fact that you're worried shows you're a good father. David smiled timidly. Thank you for saying that. Sometimes I'm afraid I'm not doing everything right. No father gets everything right all the time. What matters is trying your best. When David and Mr. Frank left, Jennifer was alone in her house, admiring the new furniture. There was something special about being surrounded by pieces made especially for her, with such care and dedication. That night she received an unexpected call. It was one of her friends from New York. Jennifer, how are you? I've missed you. Hi Sarah, I'm doing well, thank you. And you? I'm great. Listen, I'm renovating my house and need custom furniture. Do you know any good carpenters there in Aspen? Jennifer smiled. The universe seemed to be conspiring in David's favor. I do. An excellent professional. I just ordered furniture from him, and it turned out perfect. Really? Can you give me his contact? Can I send you photos first so you can see the quality of his work? Of course, send everything. Jennifer took pictures of all the furniture David had made and sent them to Sarah. The reply came within minutes. Jennifer, these pieces are beautiful. The guy is really talented. I want to order a bookshelf and a coffee table. Can you give me his contact? Let me talk to him first, and then I'll get back to you, okay? Perfect. I'm excited to see his work. The next day, Jennifer returned to the garage to share the news with David. David, remember when I mentioned showing your work to my friends in New York? I do. Well, one of them already wants to order furniture. David looked at her in disbelief. Really? Really? She saw the photos and was amazed by the quality of your work. But how will I deliver to New York? Leave that to me. I'll handle the logistics. You just need to make the furniture. David shook his head, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Mrs. Miller, it feels like everything has changed since you came into our lives. Sometimes it happens that way. A small change can create a chain reaction. It's like you're our guardian angel. Jennifer laughed but was touched by the comparison. I'm no angel, David. Just someone who believes everyone deserves a chance. In the following weeks, David received 2 more orders through Jennifer's referrals. Money started coming in more regularly, and the family's financial situation improved drastically. Jennifer arranged for the furniture to be delivered to New York using a trusted shipping company. Sarah was so pleased with the work that she recommended David to 3 more friends. David, you're becoming famous in New York, Jennifer teased, watching him work on a new order. All thanks to you. I'll never be able to repay everything you've done for us. You don't need to repay anything. Seeing you all doing well is the greatest reward I could ask for. David stopped what he was doing and looked at her seriously. Mrs. Miller, can I ask you a very personal question? Go ahead. Don't you ever think about getting married again? The question caught Jennifer off guard. It was something she had asked herself many times, but she always reached the same conclusion. It's still too soon to think about that. Michael was everything to me. I don't know if I could love someone the same way. But you're still young. You have your whole life ahead of you. I'm 42, David. Not so young anymore. 42 is nothing. You're a beautiful, smart, generous woman. Any man would be lucky to have you. Jennifer was surprised by the sincerity and kindness in David's words. Thank you for saying that. But I'm not ready to think about relationships yet. I understand. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust someone again either. Time heals many wounds, David. We just need to be patient with ourselves. That's true. And having good people by our side helps a lot too. That conversation stayed on Jennifer's mind for days. There was something in the way David looked at her, in the gentleness of his words, that stirred something in her she hadn't expected. 2 weeks later, something happened that would completely change the course of the story. Jennifer was returning from a doctor's appointment in Boulder when she saw David parked on the side of the road next to a broken-down car. She stopped immediately to help. David, what happened? Mrs. Miller. What luck running into you here. The car broke down on my way back from a delivery in Lakewood. I think it's the radiator. Get in my car. I'll take you back to town. During the ride, David seemed worried. I'm losing so much money with this old car. Every week it's a new problem. Why don't you buy a newer car? With what money? The furniture sales are doing well, but I'm still paying off the debts Amanda left behind. Jennifer thought for a moment. David, I have a proposal for you. What kind of proposal? I'll lend you the money to buy a better car. You can pay me back in installments, no interest. David looked at her as if she'd said something absurd. Mrs. Miller, you've already done so much for us. I can't accept more help. David, it's not help. It's a loan. You'll pay back every cent. Even so, it's too much money. Listen, David, you're growing professionally. You have clients in New York. You're building a reputation. A reliable car is an investment in your business, not an expense. David fell silent, clearly torn. Think it over before deciding, Jennifer continued. How much time do you lose each week because of car trouble? How many deliveries have been delayed because of mechanical issues? How much money are you missing out on because of this? David sighed. You're right, but taking more money from you, it feels like I'm taking advantage of your kindness. David, look at me. He turned to face her. Do you really think I'd make a proposal that wasn't good for me too? What do you mean? If you have a reliable car, you can take on more clients. If you take on more clients, you'll earn more money. If you earn more money, you can pay me back faster. It's an investment that benefits us both. Jennifer's logic made sense, but David still hesitated. Can I think about it? Of course. There's no rush. That night, David talked to Ethan about Jennifer's proposal. Son, Mrs. Miller is so good to us. If she's offering help, it's because she really wants to. But Dad, I don't want her to think we're taking advantage of her. Dad, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Do you like Mrs. Miller? The question caught David off guard. What do you mean, Ethan? Like, how we liked Mom? David was silent for a long moment. Why are you asking that? Because I see how you are when she's around. You get happier. Ethan, Mrs. Miller is a married woman. No, she's not, Dad. She told me her husband passed away. That's why she's sad sometimes. David was shocked by that information. She told you that? Yeah. And you know what, Dad? I think you two would be good together. Ethan, it doesn't work like that. People don't get married just because they'd be a good match. But you like each other. I can see it. David shook his head, trying to process everything. Son, even if I do like Mrs. Miller, she's a wealthy woman and I'm just a mechanic. We're from very different worlds. So what, Dad? Love doesn't care about money. Ethan's simple wisdom left David thoughtful. Maybe his son was right. Maybe he really had developed feelings for Jennifer. The next day, David went to see Jennifer at the garage. Mrs. Miller, I've thought about your loan proposal. And what's your decision? I accept, but on one condition. What condition? I want to sign a formal contract, with set payments and everything in writing. I don't want any misunderstandings later. Jennifer smiled. Perfect. We can go to the notary today to get everything formalized. And there's one more thing I wanted to ask. Go ahead. David hesitated for a moment. Would you like to have dinner with me and Ethan tomorrow night? At our place. It's nothing fancy, but it's my way of thanking you for everything. Jennifer was surprised by the invitation. It was the first time David had shown a more personal side. I'd love to, David. Thank you so much for the invite. Then it settled. 7 o'clock. That afternoon, Jennifer went with David to a used car dealership. They picked out a Ford Ranger in good condition, 3 years old with only 50,000 miles on it. Are you sure this is the one? David asked, still a bit disbelieving. I'm sure it's reliable and fuel efficient, perfect for your work. David signed all the paperwork with the look of someone who still couldn't quite believe what was happening. Mrs. Miller, how can I ever thank you for something like this? You already have, David, and you'll keep thanking me by making your payments on time. David laughed. You can count on me to pay every penny. When they left the dealership, David driving his new car and Jennifer following in her Lexus, she felt strangely happy. There was something comforting about seeing his genuine joy. That evening, Jennifer spent a long time deciding what to wear for dinner. She didn't want to look too formal, but she also didn't want to seem careless. In the end, she chose a light blue blouse and jeans. She arrived at Magnolia Street right at 7. Ethan greeted her at the door with a bright smile. Mrs. Miller, you came? Of course I came, Ethan. I wouldn't miss this dinner for anything. David appeared behind his son, wearing a blue button-up that brought out his brown eyes. Good evening, Mrs. Miller. Welcome to our home. Good evening, David. Thank you for having me. The inside of the house was simple but cozy. Despite all the financial struggles they'd faced, David had managed to keep everything clean and tidy. A red and white checkered tablecloth added a warm touch to the room. What did you make? Jennifer asked, catching a delicious aroma from the kitchen. I made my specialty, David said with a proud smile. Roast chicken with potatoes and a green salad. It smells wonderful. Over dinner, Jennifer discovered sides of David she hadn't known before. He was witty, had interesting stories about his carpentry work, and showed a touching fatherly love for Ethan. David, this chicken is delicious. Where did you learn to cook? I had to learn after Amanda left. At first it was a disaster, but Ethan endured all my kitchen experiments. Ethan laughed. Dad used to burn everything at first, but now he's really good. It's an important skill, Jennifer said. I've always had housekeepers, so I never really learned to cook properly. Really? Ethan asked, surprised. Then what do you do when you're hungry? I order takeout or make very simple things, sandwiches, basic salads. Dad could teach you how to cook, Ethan suggested excitedly. David blushed slightly. I'm sure Mrs. Miller has more important things to do than learn to cook. Actually, I'd love to learn, Jennifer said, surprising even herself. I've always wanted to cook properly. Really? David asked. Really. Michael always said it was a shame I couldn't cook because he loved homemade meals. Who was Michael? Ethan asked innocently. Jennifer hesitated for a moment. He was my husband. He passed away a few months ago. Ethan looked visibly embarrassed. I'm sorry, Mrs. Miller, I didn't know. No need to apologize, sweetheart. It's okay. David looked at her with an expression of deep understanding. It must be very hard. It is. But being here with you all has helped me so much. How so? Asked David. You remind me that there are still good things in life, that I can still make a difference for someone. Ethan got up from his chair and went to hug Jennifer. You make a big difference for us, Mrs. Miller. That simple, sincere embrace moved Jennifer more than she expected. After dinner, David insisted on showing Jennifer the furniture he had made for their own home. Despite limited resources, he had managed to create functional and beautiful pieces. You made all of this? She asked, admiring a bookshelf in the living room. I did. It's simpler than the furniture I make for clients, but it works for us. David, you have a truly special talent. These pieces are lovely. Thank you. It's comforting to create beautiful things, even when money is tight. Jennifer understood exactly what he meant. There was something therapeutic about creating beauty, even amid hardships. David, can I confess something? Of course. This was the best dinner I've had in months, not just because of the food, but because of the company. David smiled, clearly touched by her words. It was special for us too. It's been a long time since we had guests over. Then let's do it more often. You'd like that? Very much. And next time I want to help in the kitchen. I really want to learn how to cook. It'd be my pleasure to teach you. As Jennifer was getting ready to leave, Ethan called her aside. Mrs. Miller, can I tell you something? Of course, sweetheart. Dad's been so much happier since you came into our lives. That's good. I'm happier too. Do you think maybe one day you two could be together for real? Jennifer was surprised by Ethan's direct question. Why do you ask that? Because I see how you look at each other, and because I think you like each other. Ethan, these things are complicated. It's not that simple. But it doesn't hurt to try, right? The genuine hope in Ethan's eyes stirred something unexpected in Jennifer. Let's let things happen naturally, okay? Ethan smiled and hugged her again. Okay, but I'll be rooting for you too. On the way home, Jennifer couldn't stop thinking about the evening she'd had. There was something special about that family, something she hadn't felt in a long time. A sense of belonging, of being part of something bigger than herself. In the weeks that followed, dinners at David and Ethan's house became a regular thing. Every Thursday, Jennifer would go to Magnolia Street and spend the evening learning recipes and talking about life. David turned out to be a patient and attentive teacher. He showed Jennifer how to make everything from simple dishes to more elaborate meals. It was comforting to discover she had a knack for cooking when she had someone to guide her. Now you stir like this, slowly, David said, guiding Jennifer's hands as she prepared a sauté. The physical closeness made them both flustered, but there was a tenderness in those moments that neither could deny. Is it turning out okay? She asked, feeling the warmth of his body beside hers. It's perfect. You're learning fast. That's because I have a good teacher. David smiled, and for a moment they looked at each other differently. Something was growing between them, something beyond gratitude and friendship. Ethan watched from the kitchen table, doing his homework with a quiet smile on his face. He noticed the chemistry between his dad and Jennifer, and it made him happy. One night, after Ethan had gone to bed, David and Jennifer stayed talking on the porch. David, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Have you ever thought about moving away from Aspen? With your talent, you could work anywhere. David reflected for a moment. I've thought about it, especially when things were really tough. But this is the only home Ethan has ever known. I didn't want to take more away from him after everything he's already lost. That's very noble of you. It's not nobility, just a father's love. And now that things are getting better, do you still think about moving? No. Now I have even more reasons to stay. David looked directly at her as he said this, and Jennifer felt her heart race. What reasons? You know what they are. There was an intensity in that moment that left Jennifer speechless. She knew exactly what David meant, but she wasn't ready to put her own feelings into words yet. David, I know it's complicated, he said before she could finish. I know we come from different worlds. I know it might still be too soon for you, but I can't pretend I don't feel anything." Jennifer pressed a hand to her chest, as if trying to steady her heart. "I feel something too," she finally admitted. "But I'm afraid." Afraid of what? Afraid of being unfair to Michael's memory, afraid it might just be loneliness, afraid of hurting you and Ethan if things don't work out. David nodded understandingly. "I get all those fears. I have my own too." "What are yours?" "Afraid you might one day realize you could have someone better. Afraid I can't give you the kind of life you're used to. Afraid you might be mistaking gratitude for love." David's raw honesty moved Jennifer deeply. "David, look at me." He met her eyes. "I'm not mistaking gratitude for love, and you shouldn't feel inferior to anyone. You're a good, hard-working, caring man. Any woman would be lucky to have you." "Even a woman who could have any man she wanted?" "Especially a woman like me. Because I've had money and status. I know those things don't bring happiness. What draws me to you has nothing to do with social standing." "What draws you to me?" Jennifer hesitated for a moment, searching for the right words. "Your kindness, your devotion to Ethan, the way you throw yourself into your work, your strength to start over after losing everything, your humility to accept help when you need it, but also your pride in wanting to give back, and what? The way you look at me, like I'm special." David smiled. "Because you are special. To me, you're the most special person in the world." Those simple words touched Jennifer more than any grand declaration ever could. "David, I need time. Not because I don't feel anything for you, but because I want to be sure I'm doing the right thing for all of us." "I understand, and I'll wait as long as it takes." "Are you sure?" "I am, because I know you're worth waiting for." That night, Jennifer went home with her heart torn between joy and fear. She had finally admitted to herself that she was falling for David, but she still didn't know how to handle those feelings. In the weeks that followed, their relationship took on a new dimension. They were no longer just friends, but not officially a couple either. There was a romantic tension in the air that made everything more intense, yet more delicate. Ethan noticed the change and was clearly happy about the growing bond between his father and Jennifer. "Mrs. Miller, are you coming to my birthday?" he asked one Thursday evening. "When's your birthday, sweetheart?" 2 weeks from now, August 15th. "Of course I'll be there. I wouldn't miss it for anything. It'll just be the three of us. We don't have many friends to invite." The simplicity of that remark touched Jennifer. Ethan was used to modest celebrations, but seemed happy nonetheless. "Ethan, how about we throw a slightly bigger party?" she suggested. "What do you mean?" "We could invite some kids from school, have the party at my place. I have a big backyard. It could be really fun." Ethan's eyes lit up. "Really? You'd do that?" "Of course. It'll be fun." David, who had overheard the conversation from the kitchen, walked over. "Mrs. Jennifer, you don't have to trouble yourself with this." "It's no trouble at all, David. It'll be a pleasure. But it'll be a lot of work. We'll do it together. You, me, and Ethan. It'll be a family-made party." The word family hung in the air for a moment. It was the first time Jennifer had used that term to refer to the three of them together. David looked at her with surprise and joy. "Family?" Jennifer blushed. "Well, you know what I mean." Ethan jumped with excitement. "So, we're a family now?" "Ethan," David started, trying to temper his son's enthusiasm. "No, David. Let him speak," Jennifer said. "Ethan, what do you think a family is?" "I think family is people who love and take care of each other, and you do that." Ethan's simple wisdom left both Jennifer and David emotional. "You're right, sweetheart," Jennifer said, hugging the boy. "We are a family, maybe not a traditional one, but we are." David stepped closer and wrapped his arms around them both, forming a group hug that seemed to seal something important between them. Over the next 2 weeks, the three of them threw themselves into planning Ethan's party. Jennifer discovered she loved organizing events, and David turned out to be surprisingly creative with decorations. "What do you think of these balloons?" David asked, showing a blue and yellow color combination. "Perfect. It matches the party theme." They had decided on a superhero-themed party since it was Ethan's favorite. "Mrs. Jennifer, are you sure you're not spending too much money?" David asked, worried about the rising costs. "David, let me handle that. It's Ethan's birthday. He deserves a special party." "But, no buts. Consider this my gift to him, and to you too." "To me? To see your son happy, that's priceless." David looked at her with such tenderness, it made Jennifer's heart race. "How did I get so lucky to find you?" "I'm the lucky one, David." The night before the party, as they finished last-minute preparations, David pulled Jennifer aside. "Jennifer, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?" "Amanda called me yesterday." Jennifer's stomach tightened. What did she want? "She wants to see Ethan. Said she misses him and regrets leaving." "What did you say?" "I told her I need to talk to Ethan first. I can't make that decision alone." "Does he know yet?" "Not yet. I was waiting until after the party to talk to him." Jennifer stayed silent, processing the news. Amanda's return could change everything between them. "David, what about you? How do you feel about this?" "About Amanda? I don't feel anything anymore. That chapter of my life is closed." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. She had her chance and chose to leave. I can't forgive what she did to us, especially to Ethan." "What if she wants to come back for good?" David looked straight into Jennifer's eyes. "She can want whatever she wants. I've already chosen my future. And it's here, with you." Those words brought Jennifer immense relief. "David, I know we're still getting to know each other. I know you're still dealing with Michael's loss, but I want you to know my feelings for you are real and permanent." "Mine are too, David." "Then let's not let the ghosts of the past ruin our future." Jennifer nodded, feeling more secure about the feelings she had developed for David. Ethan's party was an absolute success. 15 kids from school came to celebrate with him, and Jennifer's house was filled with laughter and joy. "Mrs. Miller, this is the best party I've ever had in my life," said Ethan, beaming with happiness. "I'm so glad, sweetheart. You deserve this and so much more." David approached them during the party. "Jennifer, thank you so much for all of this. Seeing Ethan this happy is priceless. Thank you for letting me be part of your lives. You're not just part of our lives, you are our life." That declaration, made in the middle of the party with kids playing all around, was one of the most touching moments Jennifer had ever experienced. After all the children had left and Ethan had gone to bed, David and Jennifer found themselves alone, cleaning up the house. "David, have you talked to Ethan about Amanda's call?" "I did this morning before the party." "And how did he react?" "He said he doesn't want to see his mother right now, that he's happy the way things are, and doesn't want anything to change." "And how do you feel about it?" "Relieved, to be honest. I wasn't ready to deal with her coming back now." "What if she insists?" "I'll explain that Ethan isn't ready for that. If she really cares about him, she'll respect her own son's feelings." Jennifer nodded, admiring the maturity with which David was handling the situation. "David, there's something I want to tell you too." "What is it?" "Today, watching you and Ethan together at the party, I realized something." "What's that?" "I realized I want to be part of this family, officially." David stopped picking up the scattered toys and looked at her. "Jennifer, are you saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm saying I love you, David, and I want to build a future with you and Ethan." David moved closer to her slowly, as if afraid it might be a dream. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I've never been more certain of anything in my life." David held her with an intensity that spoke louder than 1,000 words. "I love you too, Jennifer, more than I ever thought I could love someone again." They kissed right there, in the middle of the living room, still scattered with remnants of Ethan's party, sealing a love that had begun unexpectedly, but had proven true and deep. In the months that followed, the lives of the three of them fell into a natural and harmonious rhythm. Jennifer began spending more time on Magnolia Street, helping David with daily life and growing even closer to Ethan. David's furniture business continued to grow. With the right tools and Jennifer's help in making connections, he built a loyal clientele not just in Aspen but in several nearby towns as well. "David, another order just came in from New York," Jennifer said, walking into the garage with a paper in hand. "Really? Who this time?" "An architect who's designing an entire apartment. She wants all custom-made furniture." David looked at the order with wide eyes. "Jennifer, this is a 3-month job, and the payment will let you pay off all your debts and still have money left over. Are you sure I can handle something this big?" "Absolutely. You're the most talented carpenter I know." David kissed her, still staring at the order in awe. "How did I ever manage before you came into my life?" "I don't know, but now you don't have to worry about that." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to the story. 6 months after Ethan's party, David made a decision that would change the course of their lives forever. It was a Thursday evening during one of their weekly dinners at his place. Ethan had gone to bed early, leaving David and Jennifer alone in the kitchen. "Jennifer, there's something I want to ask you," he said, visibly nervous. "Go ahead." David stood up from his chair and, to Jennifer's surprise, knelt beside her. "David, what are you doing?" "Something I should have done months ago." He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. "Jennifer Miller, will you marry me?" Jennifer covered her face with her hands, completely shocked. "David, I know I'm not rich. I know I can't give you everything you deserve, but I can promise you love, devotion, and a family that loves you more than anything in the world." Jennifer began to cry, but they were tears of joy. "David, you already give me everything I need. So is that a yes?" "It's a yes. Of course it's a yes." David slipped the ring onto Jennifer's finger and kissed her passionately. "Daddy!" Ethan's voice came from the hallway. They pulled apart and saw the boy standing in the kitchen doorway, rubbing his eyes. "Ethan, you should be asleep," said David. "I heard noise and came to see what it was. Why are you crying?" David and Jennifer exchanged a glance and smiled. "Come here, son," said David, reaching out to Ethan. The boy approached and David pulled him close. "Jennifer said yes to marrying me. We're going to be a real family." Ethan looked at them with shining eyes. "Really? You're getting married?" "We are," Jennifer confirmed. "If you're okay with it, of course." "If I'm okay with it? Of course I am. It's all I've ever wanted." The three of them hugged, forming a perfect circle of love and joy. "Ethan," Jennifer said, still emotional, "when we get married, I'll be your stepmom. Do you know what that means?" "Does it mean you'll be like a mother to me?" "It means I'll love you as if you were my own son. Forever." Ethan hugged her tightly. "I already love you like you're my mom, Mrs. Miller." That simple, sincere statement completed the healing for all of them. David had found new love. Jennifer had found a new family. And Ethan had found the emotional stability he so desperately needed. The wedding was set for 3 months later, a simple ceremony at the local church. Jennifer insisted on a modest celebration, focused on the meaning of the moment rather than extravagance. "Are you sure you don't want a bigger wedding?" David asked. "You could have any kind of wedding you want." "David, all I want is to marry you. The rest is just details. But your friends from New York, true friends will understand, and those who don't aren't real friends." David smiled, once again amazed by Jennifer's simplicity and authenticity. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, they faced one final challenge. Amanda called again, this time insisting on seeing Ethan before the wedding. "She said she has rights as his mother," David told Jennifer, clearly worried. "And legally she does. But Ethan made it clear he doesn't want to see her." "David, maybe it's best to let them meet. That way she can't claim later that you prevented contact." "Are you sure?" "I am. And I'll be there when it happens, to support both of you." The meeting was set for a Saturday morning at a park in town. Ethan was visibly nervous, gripping David's hand tightly. "Daddy, you'll stay with us the whole time, right?" he asked Jennifer. "I will, sweetheart. I won't leave your side." When Amanda arrived, Jennifer was surprised by her appearance. She was a beautiful woman, but there was something cold in her eyes that unsettled Jennifer. "Ethan, my boy, look how you've grown," Amanda said, trying to hug him. Ethan hid behind David, clearly uncomfortable. "Hi, Mom," he said timidly. "Aren't you going to give your mom a hug?" Ethan looked at David and then at Jennifer, as if seeking permission. "It's okay, Ethan," said Jennifer. "You do whatever feels comfortable for you." Ethan hesitated, then stepped forward and gave Amanda a quick hug. "Why haven't you come around more, Mom?" he asked. "Because Mommy needed to take care of her own life, sweetheart. But now I'm better and want to spend more time with you." "But I don't want to, Mom. I already have a family now." Ethan pointed to David and Jennifer. "Ethan, I'm your real mother. That woman there is just a stranger." The cruelty of those words made David step forward. "Amanda, don't talk like that in front of Ethan. And what about you, David? Have you forgotten everything we went through together? 10 years of marriage mean nothing. They meant everything to me, until you chose to leave. I made a mistake. I want a second chance." "Amanda, you had your chance, and you chose to throw it all away. And now you're with this rich woman. Is that it? Think you've moved up in life?" David visibly bristled at Amanda's tone. "Amanda, you don't know Jennifer. You have no right to talk about her like that. I know women like her. They play with men like you and toss them aside when they get bored." Jennifer, who had stayed quiet until then, decided to speak up. "Amanda, can I talk to you privately?" "What for?" "To clear some things up." The two women stepped a few feet away, leaving David and Ethan alone. "Amanda, I understand you're confused about all this, but there are some things you need to know. Go ahead. First, I'm not playing games with David. I truly love him, and I'm going to marry him. You barely know him. I know enough to see he's a good man and a wonderful father. And what does a rich woman like you want with a mechanic? I want to be happy, and David makes me happy." Amanda seemed surprised by the sincerity of the answer. "Second," Jennifer continued, "I don't want to replace you in Ethan's life. You're his mother and always will be. But if you really care about him, you'll respect his feelings. He's just a child. He doesn't know what he wants. Yes, he does. And he wants stability. He wants a family that won't abandon him when things get tough." "Are you implying I abandoned my son?" "I'm not implying. I'm stating it. You had 10 years to build a happy family and chose to leave when things got hard." Amanda fell silent, clearly stung by the truth in Jennifer's words. "Third, and most important," Jennifer went on, "if you truly want what's best for Ethan, you'll leave him alone until he's ready to have a relationship with you. Forcing things will only hurt him more. And if I don't agree, then you'll prove you don't really care about your son's well-being." Amanda looked over at Ethan, who was watching the conversation from a distance, clearly anxious. "He looks happy," she admitted reluctantly. "He is happy. Happier than he's been in months. Because of you? Because of all of us? Because of the stability he has now?" Amanda sighed heavily. "Fine. I'll give it some time. But I want you to know I haven't given up on getting my family back. Amanda, there's no family left for you to get back. You had one, but you chose to walk away. Now David and Ethan have built a new family, and I'm part of it. You think you're a better mother than I am. I think I'm a present mother, and that's what Ethan needs right now." Amanda walked over to Ethan to say goodbye. "Sweetheart, Mommy's going to leave for now, but I'll come back when you're ready to see me, okay?" Ethan nodded, clearly relieved. "Okay, Mom. Will you take good care of your father?" "I will. And Mrs. Jennifer will take care of us too." Amanda looked at Jennifer one last time. "Take good care of them," she said, with a mix of resignation and sadness. "I will," Jennifer promised. After Amanda left, Ethan hugged Jennifer. "Mrs. Jennifer, thank you for not letting her take me." "No one will take you, Ethan. You're safe with us." "Forever?" "Forever," The wedding took place on a Thursday morning in a simple but moving ceremony. Ethan was the ring bearer, wearing a little suit David had specially made for him. "Daddy, Mrs. Jennifer looks so beautiful," Ethan whispered during the ceremony. David looked at Jennifer, radiant in a simple yet elegant dress, and had to agree. "She is, son. The most beautiful woman in the world." When the priest asked if they accepted each other as husband and wife, their answers were filled with emotion and certainty. "I do," David said, his voice thick with emotion. "I do," Jennifer replied, tears of joy in her eyes. The kiss that sealed their union was witnessed by Ethan, who clapped excitedly. "Now we're a real family," he shouted, making the whole church laugh. The reception was at Jennifer's house, with only their closest friends. David was nervous at first, thinking he wouldn't fit in with Jennifer's upper-middle-class friends, but soon realized they were warm and down to earth. "David, Jennifer has always spoken so highly of you," said Sarah, the friend who had commissioned his first furniture pieces. "It's easy to see why she fell in love." "Thank you, I'm the lucky one in this story." "No, you're not," Jennifer chimed in, appearing beside them. "We're both lucky. We found something special in each other." During the party, Ethan was the center of attention, telling everyone how he had matched his dad and Jennifer. "I asked her to marry my dad the first day we met," he boasted proudly. "And it worked." "Ethan!" David laughed. "You can't tell everyone that." "Why not, Daddy? It's true." Jennifer walked over and hugged Ethan. "He's right. He's the one who brought us together. In a way, Ethan was our Cupid." "What's a Cupid?" Ethan asked. "It's someone who helps people fall in love," Jennifer explained. "So I'm your Cupid?" "Yes," David confirmed. "The best Cupid in the world." When the party ended and the guests left, the three of them were alone in the house that was now officially theirs. "Jennifer," David said, looking around, "I still can't believe this is real." "It is real, and it's ours. Our home, our family, our future," Ethan said happily. "Ethan, do you want to sleep in your new room tonight?" Jennifer asked. They had prepared a special room for Ethan, decorated with all his favorite things. "Can I sleep with you tonight? It's our first day as an official family." David and Jennifer exchanged a smile. "Of course," Jennifer said. "Tonight is a special night." The three settled into the couple's bed, Ethan in the middle, talking about plans for the future. "Daddy, now that you're married, will I get little brothers or sisters?" Ethan asked innocently. David and Jennifer glanced at each other over his head. "Ethan, those things happen naturally," David said, trying to sidestep the question. "But would you like to have more kids?" "Why are you asking?" Jennifer questioned. "Because I'd love to have a little brother or sister." David and Jennifer had never specifically discussed having children together, but Ethan's question made them think. "Ethan, wouldn't you be jealous if you had to share our attention?" Jennifer asked. "No, I'd help take care of the baby. I'd be the protective big brother." The idea clearly excited Ethan. "Let's talk about this calmly, okay?" said David. "These are important decisions that need careful thought." "Okay, but just so you know, I think it would be really great." In the following months, married life brought a cozy and pleasant routine. Jennifer moved permanently into the larger house, which had space for David's woodworking shop in the backyard. The business kept growing. David hired an assistant and began taking on increasingly ambitious projects. His reputation as a carpenter spread throughout the region. "David, a very special order just came in," said Jennifer one Tuesday afternoon. "What kind of order?" "A hotel in Aspen wants you to make all the furniture for their luxury suites. 20 rooms." David looked at the estimate in disbelief. "Jennifer, this is more money than I made all of last year." "It's a big project, but I know you can do it. I'll need to hire more people." "Then hire them. It's time to really expand." David hugged her, still a little stunned by the size of the opportunity. "How do you always believe in me more than I believe in myself?" "Because I love you. And when you love someone, you see their potential, even when they don't." "I love you so much, Jennifer. I love you too." Ethan, who had just gotten home from school, overheard the conversation. "You two are always telling each other you love each other," he said, smiling. "It's cute." You don't think it's annoying? Asked Jennifer. No, I think it's nice. At my friends' houses, their parents hardly talk. Here, you're always talking and kissing too. And that doesn't bother you? No. It makes me feel safe. Like, I know you won't fight and split up. Ethan's observation showed how deeply he had internalized the stability he'd finally found. A year after the wedding, on a Sunday morning, Jennifer had a revelation that would change everything again. David, I need to tell you something, she said over breakfast. Go ahead. I'm pregnant. David nearly dropped his coffee cup. What? I'm pregnant. 2 months along. Ethan, who had been playing in the living room, came running when he heard the conversation. Pregnant? Does that mean I'm going to have a little brother? Yes, it does, Jennifer confirmed, smiling. Ethan started jumping with joy. I'm going to be a big brother. I'll teach him everything. David was still processing the news. Jennifer, are you sure? I'm sure. I took 3 different tests. How do you feel? Happy. Really happy. And you? David stood up and hugged her tightly. I'm speechless. It's everything I've ever dreamed of. Really? You're not worried? I am, but it's a good kind of worry. It's responsibility, not fear. Ethan joined the hug. Now our family's going to be even bigger. The 9 months of pregnancy flew by, with David splitting his time between taking care of Jennifer, running the exponentially growing business, and preparing Ethan for his siblings' arrival. Daddy, how will we know if the baby's okay? Ethan asked during one of their many conversations about it. The doctors will take care of everything, son, and Jennifer's taking really good care of herself. What if the baby doesn't like me? Ethan, babies aren't born liking or disliking people. They learn to love the people who take care of them, and you'll take great care of your little brother. Or little sister, Ethan added. Either way, I'll love them the same. The baby was born on a spring morning after a smooth delivery. It was a girl named Emma. She's perfect, said David, holding his daughter in his arms. She looks just like you, Jennifer observed. Ethan, who had been anxiously waiting in the hospital hallway, finally got to meet his sister. She's so tiny, he said in awe. Can I touch her? Of course, said Jennifer, but be gentle. Ethan gently touched little Emma's hand, and she immediately grabbed his finger. Look, she already likes me, he exclaimed, beaming. Of course she does, said David. You're her big brother. She'll always look up to you. At that moment, as she looked at her complete family, Jennifer remembered Ethan's desperate plea nearly 2 years earlier. The boy who had begged her to marry his father had gotten so much more than just a new mother. He'd gotten a close-knit, happy family. What are you thinking about? Asked David, noticing Jennifer's distant gaze. I'm thinking about how life can surprise us. 2 years ago, I was lost, with no direction. And now you have all this, David finished, gesturing to Ethan and Emma. We have all this, she corrected. This family is our achievement. The family Ethan asked you for, David reminded her with a smile. The family we built together, Jennifer added. End of story. Now, tell us what you thought of the story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave your honest thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jennifer made the right choice by accepting Ethan's unusual request? We'd love to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.